downfield. Can they do it again? Yes, they can!
And the catch is made by Taj Washington. Touchdown, USC.
Blocked by Embiid! Timmy, yes!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Beef Upfront podcast here on Pick Swap Media. As you can see by my fit today, we are full swing in the holiday season, recording this on the 23rd, the day before Christmas Eve, where Christmas Eve falls on a Saturday this year. We'll be getting a full slate of NFL games. So I'm here to bring you the weekly NFL Fantasy Football Stardom Situm show from Beef Upfront. If you're still listening to the show at this point, you are either in your semifinals or your league championship, most likely this week. We had another victorious week last week with our starts outscoring our sits 131 to 110. So we moved to 8-5 overall on the season with the starts outscoring the sits. And like I said, if you're still listening, you are well into your playoffs, deep into your playoff run right now. So congrats to everyone who's made it this far. Like I said at the beginning with my holiday fit on, happy holidays to all. Hope you all can enjoy a nice weekend of football with your friends and family, and hopefully some victorious fantasy football and win a little coin in your pocket. So without further ado, we will get into the Week 16 Stardom Situm. Little crash course here for some players to look to keep in your lineup or take out of your lineup this week. As always, we go start first, then we go the sits, 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 2 tight ends, and a defense. So we'll start it off at the top with the quarterbacks. A guy who's underwhelmed for most of the season, but I think he does have a good chance at a nice game this week. That's quarterback Aaron Rodgers at Miami. Pretty high total in this one. If you look across the country, totals are really low this week because weather is going to be impacting a lot of the games. It looks like really cold weather. A lot of storms are going across the country. So has potential to be some really ugly football out there this week. So we're going to turn to a quarterback who's a former MVP. He's had some good moments still this year, playing at Miami, who's had a pretty porous pass defense most of the year. Packers have been looking a little bit better on offense since Christian Watson really has emerged. Romeo Doubs came back last week and was producing as well. Highest total of the week here, I believe it's 49.5. So must-win game for Aaron Rodgers and the Dolphins too. I think they take advantage of this poor Dolphins pass defense. Second quarterback will stay in the same matchup there with Tua versus the Packers. I just think that this game, when you're looking across the country, as I said, with all the bad weather and the cold and the wind and potential snow in some places, then you get a game down in sunny Miami. This game is actually on Sunday at 1. This is one of the 3 Christmas games. I think Tua has a lot to prove in this one, a big stage for him to go out there and perform well after the Dolphins have really struggled over the past month. They get a chance to play in their home comfort and warm environment, I think slinging around, and I think we could see this one be like a 27-24 type of game, a little bit higher score than what we're expecting for most of the league this week. Go to the running backs now. We're going to go with Miles Sanders, Eagles running back at the Cowboys. Jalen Hurts being out, I think the Eagles are going to run some more this week against the Cowboys rush defense that isn't very good. They've been giving up some pretty big games throughout the year. So I think Miles Sanders gets back to getting the football a lot in this one and has a big game. Second running back, we'll go with Jerick McKinnon versus Seahawks. Best running back in fantasy football these past 2 weeks. He's a guy who's always been really talented, just has struggled to stay on the field due to injuries. The Chiefs, though, have really found a way to fully use him and get him really involved, especially in the passing game. Gets a Seahawks defense this week that has been really struggling over the past month. They gave up over 100 yards and a touchdown to Christian McCaffrey last week in the 49ers. I think that another game, weather's going to be affecting this one. In Kansas City, it's going to be really cold. I think we see a lot of short passing. I know Patrick Mahomes, most gifted passer in the league, but sometimes just the weather, it impacts you to that much where you got to script the game plan around just playing it kind of safe in this one. So I think we're going to see a lot of action, the screen game like we've been seeing with McKinnon, and a lot of carries for him as well. Go to the receivers now. Christian Watson, receiver for the Packers at the Dolphins, as I said with Aaron Rodgers. Good weather down there, high projected total. Looks like that one could be a bit of a shootout according to the books. Christian Watson has really just taken off over the past month. He would have had a touchdown last week. There was a miscommunication on a route there. But still, he had like 4 for 46 last week. And I think this week we're definitely going to see him find the end zone. Really explosive. He's a guy who can catch crossing route over the middle like we saw versus Philadelphia and take it 50 yards to the house. Got some really good long speed to him. I think all it takes for him to have a good game is just one of those catches over the middle and he just turns on the Jets. I'm expecting that this week. I'm going to make a bold statement here, bold prediction. Christian Watson, 2+ touchdowns this week. Second wide receiver, a guy who's, I think, going to be a Hall of Famer one day. He's had 1,000-yard season after 1,000-yard season, and he's even hovering right around the number to potentially get it again this year. That's Mike Evans at the Cardinals. It's just been miscommunication and just some bad timing, I think, with Tom Brady this year, but he gets a Cardinals team that is one of the most dead teams in the NFL right now, like literally nothing to play for whatsoever, just completely out of everything. Quarterback hurt, guys injured, GMs don't know what he's doing right now, leave of absence, it sounds like, offensive line coach fired. It's just a franchise that seems going in the complete opposite direction after they were kind of trending up for most of last year, one of the better young teams in the NFL, now really struggling. Mike Evans, I think, has a good matchup this week against the Cardinals. Bad pass defense, terrible cornerback play. I think he and the Bucs, with still in the playoffs, all you got to do, or in the playoff run, all they have to do is win the division. They host a home playoff game. I think Mike Evans goes out and has a good week this week. Still have a motivated team there. Go to the tight ends now. Dallas Goedert, the Philadelphia Eagles. I think when healthy this year, he was the second best tight end in the league behind Travis Kelce. His numbers would most likely support that if he hadn't missed all these games over the past month with this shoulder injury. You get him versus the Cowboys, though, with Gardner Minshew playing quarterback. Dallas Goedert had the best game of his NFL career last year when Gardner Minshew played over, I believe it was 105 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. I think that they kind of go back, look at the film versus the Jets last year that we saw Dallas Goedert have that success with, and really try to emulate some of the plays, the formations, just kind of script the game around getting him involved and trying to replicate that success to make sure Gardner Minshew's comfortable. Second tight end, good old reliable. He's been on this list all year, and he's most likely going to put you up like at least 7 to 10 points and potentially get you in the end zone. Gerald Everett of the Chargers at the Colts. Really like that spot for him against another team with the Colts. Just a dead team right now. Chargers still have a lot to play for. Everett, good little safety blanket. I think he gets you that 7 to 10 points. And if you get that out of tight end this year in fantasy football, unless it's Travis Kelce, you'll take it. And then defense, I'm going to go with the Rams versus Denver. Not sure if Russell Wilson or Rippon's going to be starting this week, but really love the under 36.5 in this game. I see this game being like a 13-10 performance. I know the Rams have a lot of personnel out on defense, but if you have kind of a poor defense, or if you pick a defense up like every week on the waiver wire, look for the Rams this week. So to recap the start list, quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Tua. Running backs, Miles Sanders, Jerick McKinnon. Wide receiver, Christian Watson, Mike Evans. Tight ends, Dallas Goedert, Gerald Everett. And then Rams defense versus Denver. Go to the sit list now. First quarterback, we're going to go with Dak versus the Eagles. Dak's just been turning over left and right. Multiple picks in multiple games this season. And he's playing an Eagles team that, say what you want about them, with Jalen Hurts out of the lineup, no one on the defense is affected by that. I know Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's not back in the lineup yet, but this is a very good defensive line, a not as good as it used to be Cowboys offensive line. I think Dak will feel that pressure, get a couple sacks this weekend. I like Philadelphia to win this game, and I like it to be a little bit lower scoring. I have it 24-20, I believe was my prediction. I think that heavy emphasis on the run game for Dallas this week. Ezekiel Elliott has historically torched Philadelphia. So I think he could get a pretty good share of the carries this week, and a lot of the game go through the running game. I think taking the ball out of Dak's hands is better for the Cowboys right now, as he's costing them some games. I know that interception last week wasn't his fault, but they struggle with him at quarterback when he's turning the ball over, and when he does take care of the ball and they run the football a lot, is usually when they have some more success. So sitting him versus the Eagles this week, I think the Eagles defensive line is on a tear right now and has the potential to get after him in this one. Second quarterback, Jared Goff at the Panthers. This game's screaming to me like 20-17, 17-13. Two teams, both in the playoff hunt still, both with some pretty intriguing young players. But like the defense of the Panthers, as I've said a few times on the show this year, underrated group, some really nice young talent on that team. And anytime you go on the road, never easy. I know this game is in Carolina, but still the weather is affecting all the country right now. It's going to be chilly in that one and pretty windy. Jared Goff last week at the Jets, he was on the sit list and he didn't have that great of a game in a cold weather type environment. They still found a way to win, but it was 20-17. I could see that this game this week being like the exact same. You see a heavy dosage of the run there by Detroit and keep the ball out of the air kind of as much as possible. And Jared Goff hasn't been turning the ball over. I don't see why you change anything. So you might see Panthers and think it's a good matchup, but I'm telling you to stay away from them here. Running back, we'll go Cam Akers versus the Broncos. He's actually been having some pretty decent success recently. He's had some good weeks, but now he's playing a Broncos defense, one of my favorite defenses and one of the best defenses in the league. I've said it all year how if they scored, I believe it's like 20 points, their record, 20 points in every game, they would be like 12-2 right now, or like 11-3. That's how good the defense has been, how poor their offense has been. Just not touching any Rams offensive players in this one. Second running back, Cordell Patterson of the Falcons at the Ravens. His role's kind of been diminished in the past few weeks. Tyler Algier had a really nice performance last week, and he dominated the carries in that backfield. And then with Desmond Ridder in there as well, I think the Ravens really just stacked the box. A young, unproven quarterback. Make him find a way to beat you through the air. Don't let them beat you on the ground. So I'm going to take Patterson out of my lineup this week. Wide receivers, we're going to go Amari Cooper versus Saints. The lowest projected total of the week as of right now. I believe that number's sitting at 32. That game out in Cleveland, just going to be a complete snooze fest. I think it's like a 7-3, 10-6, some type of game like that. Really like the under there. But Deshaun Watson just hasn't been able to get it clicking. Saints defense, say what you want about them, still can turn in some pretty impressive performances. Wide receiver, number 2, we're going to go with Drake London at the Ravens, the number 1 passing option for this Falcons team right now. But as I said, unproven, inexperienced quarterback in Desmond Ridder. I think that they're going to kind of force the Ravens defense is going to force him to pass, and I'm just not trusting him in the passing game yet. Ravens still have some pretty good pieces back there in that secondary. Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Drake London, young rookie receiver still. I think this is just a unhealthy matchup for him. Maybe like as a dart throw play in your flex if you think the Ravens might take control of this one. But another game that I could definitely see being low scoring, ugly. That's kind of the theme of the week. Whether it's Tyler Huntley or Anthony Brown playing a quarterback, neither of them is really striking up much excitement into an offense. I could see this one being like 13-10, 14-13, something like that as well. Tight ends will go David Njoku versus Saints. All the same reasons as we're sitting on Amari Cooper versus Saints. It's going to be a really cold weather game, a lot of wind, and Deshaun Watson hasn't been able to get it going in the passing game yet. Second tight end will go Greg Dulcich at the Rams. As I said, with the starting the Rams D, not in favor of any like offensive players in this matchup. Dulcich has had a few nice performances, but as I always say with the tight ends, it's a dart throw. Just kind of like a gut feel in this one. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. When I have a feeling it's going to be that, I tend to keep those guys out of my fantasy lineup. And then sit list defense, we're going to go with the Chiefs versus the Seahawks. Chiefs have historically over these past few years, when they play some of these inferior teams, they tend to like play with their food and kind of get taken advantage of a little bit and don't really take these teams as seriously as they should, as evidence with the Texans putting up 24 points on them last week. The Seahawks definitely have better weapons than that. I think the Seahawks have the potential to move the ball, especially on the ground against this Chiefs team. So we're going to sit the Chiefs defense versus the Seahawks. So to round up the sit list, quarterbacks Dak and Jared Goff, running back Cam Akers and Cordell Patterson, wide receivers Amari Cooper, Drake London, tight ends David Njoku and Greg Dulcich, and then defense Chiefs versus Seahawks. But that'll do it for the Beef Up Front Week 16 Stardom Sit-'em show for fantasy football. Like I said, if you're listening to this show, you are either in your semifinals or championship, most likely for fantasy. So if you are listening, congratulations on making it that far. And best of luck in this matchup this weekend. Enjoy the holidays. Happy holidays to all. As always, please like, subscribe, share, and we will talk next week. Good luck in your matchup.